exactly like today. And we beat ourselves up over this every single day. We usually just label it as a personal defect, like we just have a lack of discipline.
Which is just, I mean, it's an incredibly heavy burden to carry around.
It really is. So welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at the core mystery of human behavior. If you intellectually know the right choices to make, why do you compulsively make the wrong ones?
And we're not going to use a bunch of complex scientific jargon today, right?
No, absolutely not. We're going to explore the why behind human behavior using simple, natural English, so you can improve your thinking while, practicing your language skills. We've gathered some amazing source material for this, and it offers a massive paradigm shift.
A huge one, because when we fail to keep our promises to ourselves, we just assume the solution is more self-control. But the science suggests, and this is the big idea here, the problem isn't a lack of discipline at all.
Wait, so what is it then?
Well, your brain isn't broken. It's actually functioning perfectly. It's just trying to solve modern problems using ancient survival rules.
Okay, I love this. So to really understand why we struggle today, we need to talk about evolutionary mismatch. We need to travel back in time, like about 30,000 years, to see what the human brain was actually built for.
Right. Because if you look at the daily reality of early humans, life was entirely defined by scarcity and immediate physical danger.
Yeah, I mean, there were no supermarkets down the street.
No supermarkets, no retirement accounts, no long-term career arcs. The central problem of every single day was just finding enough calories to survive.
And avoiding becoming calories for something else.
Exactly. The brain's primary job was keeping you alive until tomorrow morning. That was it.
Right. So if an early human stumbled across a bush loaded with, I don't know, high sugar berries, they didn't think about portion control.
No, definitely not.
Or like, I'm going to invest these berries for a 5% yield next winter.
That would be a terrible idea back then. The biological imperative was just to consume as much as possible immediately.
Because the berries might be gone tomorrow. Or you might be gone tomorrow.
Exactly. And the neurobiology developed to heavily reward that exact behavior. So the brain wired itself to release massive surges of feel-good chemicals when you consume dense calories.
And on the flip side, it triggered intense, immediate anxiety when a predator appeared.
Right. So over tens of thousands of generations, the genes that got passed down belonged to the humans who reacted instantly to short-term opportunities and short-term threats.
So long-term planning wasn't just unnecessary, it was an evolutionary disadvantage.
Totally. If you stopped to ponder the distant future, you probably starved. Or you got eaten by a tiger.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second, though. I want to play devil's advocate. Because it sounds a little bit like we're just making excuses for being lazy.
I hear that a lot, actually.
Right, because evolution can't be an excuse for absolutely everything we do today. We aren't just primates reacting to bushes of berries anymore. We have a prefrontal cortex.
We do.
We have logic and reason. I mean, we build skyscrapers, we go to space. So shouldn't a smart person just be able to recognize this ancient programming and, override it?
That's the logical question. But the answer is that overwriting millions of years of evolutionary hardware is computationally exhausting for the brain.
Computationally exhausting? What do you mean by that?
Well, the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain responsible for complex planning and impulse control, is a relatively recent evolutionary development.
Okay.
You can think of it kind of like the CEO of a company.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, so the CEO can issue top-down orders and suppress those ancient urges, but it requires a massive amount of energy to do so, and it gets tired.
Ah, so willpower is essentially a finite resource.
Precisely, it runs out. Meanwhile, the ancient parts of the brain, like the basal ganglia and the amygdala, they are like the factory floor workers.
And they don't get tired.
Nope. They are running the basic survival scripts in the background 24/7. They do not fatigue at all. So when you are stressed or tired or just emotionally overwhelmed,
the CEO leaves the office.
Exactly. The prefrontal cortex goes offline and the ancient brain takes over. And it runs the only playbook it knows, which is seek immediate comfort, avoid unnecessary effort, and consume available resources.
Wow. Okay, that reframes the struggle completely. Because success in the modern world literally requires doing the exact opposite of what kept your ancestors alive.
It really does. Success today means saving money for 30 years instead of spending it right away.
Right. It means sitting at a desk and studying abstract concepts like English grammar instead of resting to conserve energy. We're basically fighting our own biological success story.
That's a great way to put it. We are judging ancient survival mechanisms by modern productivity standards. Eating the sugar and avoiding physical work made you a genius of survival 30,000 years ago.
But today, it just gives you diabetes and credit card debt.
Exactly. Our environment changed incredibly fast in just a blink of an evolutionary eye, but our hardware stayed exactly the same.
Okay, that makes sense for food and physical exertion. I completely understand why my brain wants me to eat a donut and lay on the couch.
Right, the calories and the energy conservation.
Yeah, but here is the friction point for me. If the ancient brain only cares about immediate caloric rewards and physical safety, why are we so obsessed with checking our phones?
Ah, the screens.
Yeah, I mean, checking my phone doesn't give me calories. It doesn't protect me from a physical threat. It's literally just a piece of glowing glass. Why did that have such a grip on our behavior?
That is the million-dollar question. And to crack that, we have to look really closely at dopamine.
Okay, the reward chemical.
Well, that's actually the thing. We have fundamentally misunderstood what dopamine actually does. Culturally, like you just said, we've labeled dopamine as the happiness chemical.
Right, you do the thing, you get the dopamine, you feel happy.
That's the popular myth. People assume that when you eat the donut, you feel pleasure, and that feeling of pleasure is dopamine. But neuroscientists have demonstrated that dopamine is not a pleasure chemical.
Wait, really? If it's not pleasure, what is it?
It is a possibility chemical.
Possibility. Okay, explain that.
It's the neurochemical of anticipation, of motivation, and searching. When researchers measure brain activity, they find that the massive spike in dopamine actually happens before you get the reward.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it peaks during the anticipation phase.
Okay, so it's like planning a vacation.
Yes, perfect example.
Like, those 6 weeks you spend looking at photos of the resort, buying new sunglasses, imagining the beach, that feels incredible. You have so much energy and excitement.
The anticipation is huge.
But then you actually arrive and, the flight was delayed, there's sand in your luggage, and the feeling is totally different. The reality rarely matches the intensity of the anticipation.
Exactly. And that's because dopamine's evolutionary job is totally done the moment you arrive.
It just shuts off.
Pretty much. Its purpose wasn't to make you feel good while sitting on the beach. Its purpose was to motivate you to get off the couch, organize the trip, and go find the beach in the first place.
So in our evolutionary past, dopamine was the chemical that forced humans to leave the cave and forage for food.
Yes. It rewards the search. It actually craves the unknown.
Okay, I have an analogy that I think perfectly maps this onto our daily lives.
Let's hear it.
Think about walking into your kitchen late at night. You open the refrigerator, look inside, and you see there's nothing good to eat. So you close the door.
Very relatable.
Right. But then 10 minutes later, you walk back into the kitchen and you open the exact same refrigerator again.
A completely irrational behavior that we literally all do.
Yes. You aren't opening it because you're suddenly starving, and you consciously know you didn't go to the grocery store in the last 10 minutes.
You know nothing has changed.
Exactly. You open it because your brain is curious. The brain is whispering, what if? What if something interesting miraculously appeared in there?
That is such a good analogy, because our phones are essentially digital refrigerators that we carry around in our pockets.
Oh man. We are opening that digital fridge 100 times a day.
We really are.
Yeah.
When you unlock your phone, you aren't actually addicted to the content itself. Think about it. Most of the content you see is entirely forgettable.
Yeah, I can rarely remember what I watched 5 minutes ago.
Exactly. You are addicted to the possibility that something life-changing or entertaining or even threatening might be there. Dopamine is driving you to forage for information, just like our ancestors foraged for berries.
Addicted to possibility. That is a massive aha moment that completely explains the urge to constantly check our screens.
It's just modern foraging.
But it still leaves a gap for me.
Okay, what's the gap?
Well, some possibilities capture our attention for maybe 5 minutes. Reading a challenging book offers possibilities, right? But I might get distracted very quickly. Yet scrolling through a social media feed offers possibilities, and suddenly I've lost 3 hours of my life.
Right, the time blindness.
Yeah. Why the difference? Why do some things hold us hostage while others get boring?
It comes down to the mechanics of predictability. To really understand how the brain calculates possibility, we need to think about the difference between a vending machine and a slot machine.
Okay, a vending machine is highly predictable. I put in $1, I press a button, I get a bottle of water. $1 equals 1 drink every single time.
Exactly, and because it is completely predictable, how long do you engage with that vending machine?
About 5 seconds. I get my water and I walk away. I'm certainly not going to stand there putting $20 bills into the machine just for the thrill of watching the waterfall.
Right, because it's boring to the brain. There's no mystery. Now look at the slot machine in a casino. You put in $1, you pull the lever, and maybe you get nothing.
You pull it again, nothing.
You pull it a third time, and suddenly you win $2. This is what psychologists call a variable ratio schedule of reinforcement.
Variable ratio,
Yeah.
meaning the reward changes.
Yes, the reward is unpredictable in both its timing and its size. And rather than frustrating the brain, this uncertainty absolutely supercharges the dopamine system.
Because the brain is trying to solve a pattern that doesn't actually exist.
You nailed it. When a reward is guaranteed, dopamine levels flatline. The brain just says, I understand this, there's no need to pay attention anymore. But when a reward is variable, when you don't know if or when the payout is coming, dopamine production just skyrockets.
Searching for the pattern.
Exactly. The uncertainty forces the brain into a state of hyper-focus. It continually pulls the lever to see what happens next.
Wow. And when we map that onto modern technology and business, it becomes terrifyingly clear. If you look at the most successful apps, platforms, and technologies today, they aren't vending machines.
Not at all.
They are all slot machines.
Mhm.
TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts.
Every single one of them is built on variable ratio schedules.
Think about swiping through short videos. You swipe up, the first video is kind of boring.
Mhm.
Swipe again, mildly amusing. Swipe again, and absolutely hilarious, you laugh out loud, you just hit the jackpot.
Yep, you pulled the lever and won.
Or even consider checking your email. 90% of it is spam or just mundane work stuff. But every once in a while, there's an exciting opportunity.
Or a crisis you need to fix.
Right? Even checking stock market prices on your phone operates this exact same way.
Mhm.
Most of the time, the line is flat, but occasionally there's a massive jump or drop that triggers a rush of adrenaline.
The mechanism is identical across all of them. They use different interfaces, sure, but it's the exact same psychological hook. The uncertainty keeps that ancient foraging instinct engaged indefinitely.
But let me push back on this narrative a little
Right.
bit, because we often paint tech companies as these evil geniuses.
Sure.
Are the engineers at these social media companies really that powerful and innovative? Or do they just sort of stumble upon a loophole in our primitive biology?
Well, technology certainly didn't invent human psychology. They didn't create the dopamine system, but they absolutely figured out how to monetize it at an unprecedented scale.
By turning everything into a slot machine.
Yes, because these platforms, they spend billions of dollars running A/B tests on human behavior. They track exactly how long you hover over an image, what colors trigger a click, and even how to delay the loading of a notification just long enough to build anticipation.
Wait, they delay notifications on purpose?
Sometimes, yes, just a fraction of a second to let that dopamine peak.
Yeah.
They know that in the modern economy, human attention is literally the most valuable commodity on Earth.
Because attention equals money.
Exactly. They design their systems to give you that slot machine feeling because uncertainty keeps your eyeballs on the screen, and eyeballs generate ad revenue.
So when we feel drained after spending a whole evening mindlessly browsing the internet, it's not just a figure of speech. Our ancient brains are literally being overloaded with survival signals. We're endlessly foraging for variable rewards. They're just being manipulated for corporate profit.
You are bringing a Stone Age brain to a fight against a supercomputer algorithm designed to hijack it. It is simply not a fair fight.
Okay, but if our environment is so perfectly engineered to hack our ancient wiring, are we completely helpless?
Not helpless, no.
Because this brings to mind that famous marshmallow experiment. For decades, that psychological study has been used to prove that successful people simply possess superior self-control. Like, they can resist the environment. Doesn't that contradict the idea that we are victims of our evolutionary hardware?
I am so glad you brought up the marshmallow experiment. It is fascinating, largely because the popular takeaway from it is almost entirely wrong.
Wait, really? The whole willpower thing is wrong?
Basically, yeah. So the original study, conducted in the late 60s and 70s, seemed pretty straightforward. You put a child in a room with a marshmallow, you
Right.
tell them, you can eat this now, or if you wait 15 minutes while I leave the room, I'll give you a second marshmallow.
Right. And the researchers tracked those kids for decades. And they concluded that the ones who had the grit and discipline to wait for the second marshmallow ended up with better grades, better jobs, and just better health outcomes overall.
That was story S.
It became the ultimate parable for raw willpower. Just grit your teeth, delay gratification, and you will win at life.
But science doesn't stop. And when later researchers revisited the methodology, they found a massive blind spot in the original experiment.
Oh, was it?
The original conclusion assumed that a child's decision to eat or wait was purely a measure of internal discipline. What they completely failed to account for was the child's environment, specifically the element of trust.
Trust. How did they figure that out? Like, what was the mechanism for measuring trust in a marshmallow test?
The researchers designed a brilliant variation of the experiment. Before they even brought out the marshmallows, they manipulated the environment to establish a baseline of reliability.
Okay, how so?
They split the children into two groups. An adult promised to bring the children a new set of art supplies. For the first group, the adult kept the promise and brought the crayons.
Nice.
But for the second group, the adult came back empty-handed and broke the promise.
Oh, wow. So they actively taught one group of kids that the environment was reliable, and they taught the other group that the environment was volatile and unpredictable.
Exactly. They established trust, or they broke it, then they ran the standard marshmallow test, and the results were absolutely staggering.
Let me guess. The kids with the broken promise ate it immediately.
Almost universally. They ate the first marshmallow right away. But the children who experienced the reliable adult, they were overwhelmingly the ones who waited the 15 minutes for the second treat.
That completely upends the willpower narrative.
It really does.
Because if you are a child operating in an unpredictable environment where promises are routinely broken, maybe food is scarce at home, or adults are just unreliable, eating the marshmallow right now isn't a failure of discipline at all.
No, it's not.
It is a highly intelligent risk assessment.
It is the optimal statistical choice. Waiting for a future reward requires a fundamental subconscious belief that the future reward will actually materialize.
Right.
If your brain calculates that the environment is volatile, delaying gratification is a terrible bet. You take the calories while they are right in front of you.
This changes everything about how we view our own habits as adults. We call ourselves lazy when we can't stick to a long-term plan, like putting money into a retirement account or studying a complex subject for a degree.
Or learning a new language.
Exactly. But maybe our brains simply lack trust in the long-term payoff. If your daily environment is highly stressful and chaotic, your brain defaults to the immediate guaranteed reward.
Yes. Scrolling the phone, eating the junk food.
Because it doesn't trust that the future will be stable enough to enjoy the delayed reward.
That's the core of it. Delayed gratification is not just a muscle you can endlessly flex. It is a byproduct of trust and environmental design. People only invest in the future when their environment provides enough stability to make the future feel real and attainable.
So, synthesizing all of this, we have this incredible new mental model today. We have an ancient brain obsessed with immediate survival. We have a dopamine system driving us to forage for unpredictable rewards on our screens.
The slot machines in our pockets.
Right. And we have a risk assessment mechanism that demands trust and stability before it will delay gratification. So how do we pull this out of the abstract and actually apply it to our daily lives? What can we do today?
The most practical takeaway is that you have to stop fighting your biology with raw willpower.
Because the CEO gets tired.
Exactly. Willpower will always lose to millions of years of evolutionary programming. So instead of waking up and asking, how can I be a more disciplined person today? You should ask yourself, how can I design my environment to make the right choice, the default choice?
So it's about removing the variable rewards from your immediate vicinity.
Yes. If you know your phone is a slot machine engineered to hijack your dopamine system, do not leave it on your desk while you try to work.
Don't just rely on willpower to ignore it.
Because the prefrontal cortex will eventually get tired, and you will pick up the phone. Instead, put the phone in another room. Literally, make the bad habit physically difficult to execute.
Out of sight, out of mind. And I guess the same applies to finances, right?
Absolutely.
If the ancient brain panics at unpredictability, checking your investment portfolio every day when the market is volatile is a terrible idea.
It's the worst thing you can do. It triggers that fight or flight response, urging you to sell everything and seek immediate safety.
So what's the environmental fix for that?
Automate your investments. Delete the financial apps from your phone. You want to engineer an environment where the most effortless path is the long-term path. You basically have to accept the brain you actually have rather than struggling to operate with the brain you wish you had.
That is so powerful. We spend so much energy on guilt and shame when we fall short, without ever realizing the biological and environmental currents we are swimming against.
We're swimming upstream.
We really are. Well, thank you for mapping out this deeply complex issue so clearly today.
It was a pleasure.
And for everyone listening, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to explore in your own time today. Take a look around your physical space right now. Look at your desk, the layout of your room, the tabs open on your browser, the notifications enabled on your screens. What kind of behavior is that specific physical environment naturally encouraging your Stone Age brain to perform?
That's a great question to ask.
Right, because success isn't about having a stronger, more disciplined mind. It is about building a better environment for the ancient brain you already have.